Hello, this is Aaron Green, showing off the stuff I've done for my project for the first semester. So I'll start on the immobiliser, which is a projectile weapon. Its primary fire shoots a ball that bounces along the floor and activates after a small delay. The projectiles do X amount of damage to X amount of times a second within the sphere of influence. The values of them can be changed. That's it. You can also be set whether to damage the owner or not. The secondary fire shoots a ball with no gravity, but it's got a smaller sphere of influence and does less damage. And it can be shot out of the air as well, like that. It's killed me. The rocket launcher, just basic, shoots rockets that cause radial damage to any actors in range of it. Instant fire weapons, I've got machine gun, which is just a line trace or a line cast and causes damage to the actor that it hits. Now I've got a shotgun, which does the same kind of thing but fires 5 bullets per slug and does have spread as well, a random spread. Base classes, I've got weapons, pickups, projectiles and characters. Derived projectiles, I've only got the rocket and the immobiliser's drain bomb. Derived weapons, I've got these ones. The variables like damage and cooldown and stuff are dealt with in the base class. That's all set from a data table I've got. So in the derived classes, it's really just the different functionalities like firing, since they all do individual things. Derived characters have their own unique abilities. They share variables like speed and damage, which can obviously be set individually per character to make them play differently. Derived pickups, I've got health, power-ups, ammo and weapons. Power-ups send an enum to the character that picks it up, and then the character decides how it'll deal with that particular power-up. And then weapons are changed just with an enum as well to pick which one you want it to be. Characters, I've only got 2. You can press enter to bring up the character select screen. Leopold, his special ability is a super high jump, and he has a feather fall just by default. So if you hold jump, he'll just feather fall, but if you don't hold jump, he won't. And then the other character, Vladimir, has a little dash, which they do have cooldowns, but I've turned them off for now. So his dash just can get you out of or into trouble nice and quick. For object communication demonstrations, this one demonstrates both object to object and object to multi. Each button's got an array of actors which have the use interface on them. Each time you press a button, it sends the use interface function through to every actor in the linked array. So for instance, that one's only linked to that, this button's only linked to that, but this button's linked to both that and that one, so it activates both of them. This actually has a manager on it for a little light game, which has a reference to all 3 buttons and all 3 lights, and each time a button's pressed, it calls the button pressed event dispatcher, which the light game is listening for, and when it hears it, it's got an event bound to it which checks all the lights are on. So when all the lights do get turned on, it completes the game and activates whatever items linked to its game complete actor array, which in this case is just that one larger light. Enabling input to an actor, I've got my weapons. When a weapon's picked up and equipped, it's just set as the equipped item actor reference in the inventory. and then the reference is then sent to fire command when the controller gets the fire input. And if there's a valid actor reference there in the inventory, it will use the fire command to perform whatever function that item does. For instance, with this, it's just machine guns firing. Interfaces, I use probably far too many of them. They're using the HUD to get variables from the controller or character to set values like health or ammo. They're using chains from the controller through the character, then for instance the button, then the light. They all just use the use interface function. Yeah. For inventory, it's mainly it's got an array of held items which is just actor references, a map which uses the actor class as the key and integers as a value. So I've got one map for ammo and one for consumable items like grenades or health packs. The add item function finds what type of item it is that you're trying to add through an interface message and then assigns it to the appropriate slot. If it's consumable, it uses macro to add it in to the right part of the consumables map. So like if I pick up the grenade now, then pick up another, then pick up another, it just keeps on adding them on. And then if you use all consumables in your hand, it equips your next weapon up. It also uses interface. Obviously it sends interface messages through to like the equipped item, whether it's a grenade or a gun, and whether it's firing or whether it's because they all have their own drop functions, because they all do it differently. Managers, I've got a level manager which is mainly just an event dispatcher which says level reset, and then all the other managers are listening for it, because I've got the pickup manager which just resets all the pickups except weapons. I've got the player manager which just respawns all players. I've got the weapon manager which respawns all weapons, because at the beginning of the level it gets a reference to every weapon pickup, gets all their variables and stuff, and then the locations, and then when it respawns them all, it just spawns them completely fresh and sets all the variables. And then the health manager is the most complicated one. It gets, every 2 seconds, it gets which character is closest to each health pickup in the entire level, and then sets how much health it's worth depending on the health of the closest player. So like over there, the closest player to that one will be the target, and over here this one's me. So if I drop my health a bit with this button, this is now offering me 50 health, and that one's still offering 20 because that's the closest player to it. But if I become the closest player, it will now offer 50. Yeah. Thank you.